Everyone. We're going to give everyone just a second to come right in. I am thrilled today because I get to talk to one of CareAcademy's personal heroes, my own personal hero, Teepa Snow. So if you're here, hi Teepa.
Hi Teepa. No, oh wait a minute, it should be hi Helen.
There you go.
Thing that we can get sometimes. No, this should have been hi Helen. I should have said hi Helen back.
There you go. No, either way, we're glad to have you. So thank you. So hi, Teepa, and thanks so much, everyone. You are here. My name is Helen Adioson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of CareAcademy, and I'm, of course, with a woman that needs no introduction, Teepa Snow, founder of the Positive Approach to Care, PAC, and one of the foremost, if not in my estimation, the most esteemed leaders in dementia care. So we're going to give everyone just a second to come right on in. I see that we're filling up really fast, really exciting. So if you are here with Teepa Snow and CareAcademy, the Dementia Training Alliance, you're in the right place. So we'll give everyone just a second to come on in before we get started today. Really excited for this conversation, and based on what we're hearing on LinkedIn and Twitter and all social media networks, we know that you guys are excited as well. So really, really great chat ahead. So we'll give everyone just another minute.
So Helen, you know the reason some people are here ahead of time and some are here late, right?
Oh, no, tell me.
Some people are good at paying attention to time, and some people live in the moment. And it turns out it's really important to know who somebody is if you're going to be their care provider. So, I mean, that's a whole topic right there, because people who live in the moment, you got to give them a chance to adjust to a change, because when they're in that moment, it's hard for them to let go of the moment to come to a new moment. So I got to go, ooh, hey, Helen, listen, would you come help me for a second? Because I've got to go, ooh, like to let her know it's time to disengage, but not to make it sound like it was time to stop, but ooh, there's this other thing. Whereas the people who like to get there ahead of time is, oh, it's getting sort of close to time, isn't it? Tell you what, we should stop now because you got to get where you're going. Yep, absolutely. Tell you what, let's clean it up. Let's get going.
I am the latter. I'm typically the latter. As most people on my team is laughing right now because they know I am the latter. So I'm very glad that you're very acutely aware of the two types. That's amazing.
Even we got so many more people when we gave them a few minutes to let go of what they were doing and come on. But the people who were here on time, they're not bored because I gave them something to fill the time that gave them some meaning. So because they got here on time, they now are aware of in the moment, plan ahead, and it helps figure out how to give good care. See, that's how that works.
That's exactly it. So for those folks who showed up on time, congrats, you got some bonus content. That's amazing. You know what? Let's go ahead and get started. I feel like we'll have some more folks trickle in, but very excited again. If you're here for Teepa Snow and CareAcademy, Dementia Training Alliance, you are in the right place. And so, yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Helen Adioson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of CareAcademy. So we're going to do a few rounds of introductions to the woman, again, who I think needs no introduction. We'll talk more about what the framework is around our partnership and why we're tremendously excited, very proud of our team members who got this kicked off internally. I'll say, and I always love to give folks roses just for their work. And just a shout out to Michelle Hochberg, our content director, and Jen Waldron, our SVP of sales too, just for basically building up to this moment. So I want to give some recognition to folks on our side. Then we'll do a demo, navigating difficult situations related to dementia. And then we'll do a CareAcademy demo with Kelly, who's going to join us on the line. And then stay tuned right afterwards on the webinar for a special offer related to our very special partnership with Teepa. And so with that said, just even a quick introduction, CEO and co-founder of CareAcademy, that's me. And I've been a direct care worker. A lot of what I've learned over the years in terms of dementia care comes from a lot of Teepa's teachings and direction. I was a home health aide. I moved up to Boston, where we are now based, and attended the master's program at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. And from there, launched CareAcademy and worked with a wonderful group of folks on my end. And I will do just a quick introduction of, again, Teepa Snow. Teepa Snow, in case you all don't know, is a world-renowned occupational therapist with 40 years of clinical experience and is one of the world's leading educators on dementia and Alzheimer's. In 2005, she founded Positive Approach to Care, a company that provides dementia care training, services, and products around the world. Teepa, is there anything else that I left off that you would like to mention also?
No, I too was a care aide. I was a NA before there was a C. It was a cinder block nursing home in Pennsylvania and then in North Carolina. And the only training we got back when I was young is you followed someone around for 3 days and then you got your assignment. That's how far we've come. I mean, and that's huge because when we started, quite frankly, when I was a student, what we thought about dementia was that those people should be in state psychiatric hospitals, and it was called OBS, organic brain syndrome. Or, you know, it was grandma's got to hardening of the arteries. I mean, so in my lifetime of care, we have come so far, and yet we have so far to go. But it's been huge, the amount of shift and change and alteration of how we think about this thing and how the care situations are changing.
Absolutely, and I think I have just the fortune, I always love talking to customers, of speaking to a customer who's probably on the webinar right now, well ahead of just our conversation, and just even got to reemphasize and talk with her about just the importance of your work and the fact that we learn so much almost every day about the course of dementia and what that means and how that translates to caregiving. So I'm very excited that we're having the opportunity at CareAcademy to partner with you in advancing that work and then more importantly, translating that to care. So I'm very excited about that.
Very cool. Care is what it's all about. I mean, truly, it's about care. But we can't give good care if we don't have good awareness and knowledge. And so it's building from unaware to aware to knowledgeable that helps us then have the ability to have the skills to make a difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just very shortly, for those who may not be familiar with CareAcademy, we're the #1 provider of online training. We have with 60 state-approved courses, not including, of course, our newest partnership with Teepa Snow. We are mobile compatible training with an online dashboard that is specifically meant for administrators, so you have the opportunity to track as well as administer training to your direct care workers, all via a very intuitive framework. So direct care workers have the ability to take training very akin to something like Netflix. That's scenario-based and very rich in terms of learning and provides for some of the most rich content that's out there. We also offer portable training records, so we take a lot of the time, in terms of your own day-to-day workflow, making sure that the training record of the direct care worker stays with them, sticks with them in that portability feature and on your online dashboard. And last but not least, we cannot underestimate the human touch. We've got our customer support and servicing, so in English as well as Spanish, to ensure that both direct care workers and administrators can get the support that they need around the clock. So just a little bit about CareAcademy. And then just to even talk more about our partnership, I'm really excited just from, in terms of, this is one of the first content partnerships that CareAcademy is announcing, and, and it is without a doubt one of a great way to start off 2020, if I should say. So just even to give some folks on the line context, dementia is one of the most common conditions older adults experience. We know a number of you all out there, whether you're administrators or owners, have a large population of clients who face dementia or live with Alzheimer's. So CareAcademy, Americans Living with Alzheimer's Typically, so it's 1 in 3 greater than 85 years or older, according to the Alzheimer's Association. So just even a couple statistics around that, and I really want to, just if anything, frame the context that we're living in, that we're working in, before I hand over the reins to Teepa to just talk more about some of the content that we'll be featuring. And so 89% of survey respondents said that dementia and Alzheimer's care is part of their home care agency's formal training program for caregivers. That's a really far cry from, Teepa, what you just said that you received as a direct care worker, and definitely what I received as well. It was a lot of, yes, exactly, nothing, right? Exactly, absolutely. It was kind of catch as catch can in my case as well, and so I really appreciate the fact that you're offering this, and then we, in extent of that, also get to offer this to direct care workers. So it's some training, and that training we know can range. 77.1% of all survey respondents reported that dementia Alzheimer's care training was the #1 caregiver orientation training priority. I will actually even add on top of that, I don't think it's just the orientation, but we believe first and foremost it has to be exact. I think we're on the same page literally, and I'm excited to hand it over to you, that it has to be part and parcel of ongoing training,
Yes.
Ongoing reorientation, right? We know that every single person differs in terms of their orientation to disease, and we learn so much from a clinical vantage too about the impact of dementia and Alzheimer's, and so that has to be part of ongoing training. That's according to our friends over at Home Care Pulse. And so in terms of our platform and what this is going to look like in the announcement of our partnership, so nearly 100 hours of past dementia care training will be made available starting January 31st. So right around the corner, a couple days from now, that will be made available for agencies who are with CareAcademy and those who sign up as new customers, and will provide you the opportunity to figure out a way to sign up and the offer to sign up as well. And then, so you can contact, if you're already an existing customer of CareAcademy, you can contact the CareAcademy representative to add these classes to your subscription, and have that added onto the classes that are made available to your direct care workers within your portal. And so with that said, I'd love to talk about sort of the sampling of classes. So just in terms of the classes that will be made available, here's just a sampling of those 100 hours. Challenging behavior in dementia care, creating quality of life in dementia care, end of life care and letting go. Really important topic. We talked about that a little bit, Teepa. Improving communications in dementia care, in-home dementia care, tips and techniques, and how to get your staff engaged in better care techniques, and many, many more. So very excited. And so in terms of, I wanted to leave these questions on the board, but what I want to do right now is transition over to you, Teepa, and just sort of talking through, sort of what your experience, and actually some of these questions came out of our conversation in terms of how would you frame how to best approach dementia learning. And we know it's not just about the orientation, but ongoing. What are your thoughts around that, and how would you frame that?
What I would say is one of our biggest mistakes is we think we can dump a whole bunch of things into somebody's brain right before they're facing a unique situation, and they will be able to take what they put in there and take it out and use it right away. And it's like, I'm sorry to tell everybody, that's not the way human brains work. If you put a whole bunch of stuff, new stuff in a human brain, and then you put that human being in an unfamiliar environment, in an unfamiliar situation, and they feel threatened, their brain will use what it's known from before. It will not use that new stuff at all. It will not even remember it has the new stuff available until after the event. Because human brains use what they know before they try something they don't know. And what that means then is I would be better off and better served having you say, okay, so tell me the top 3 things you're concerned about. If you were to start working with somebody living with dementia, what do you feel like is the most important thing for you to know going in there? What do you think? If I were just to ask you, what do you want to know about somebody before you get in there? People go,
Yeah.
oh.
Right.
And so
Right.
I go, okay, here's what I'm going to help you sort of look at. Go ahead, and I'm going to give you an example. So take your hands and do this with them around your eyes. And realize that at age 75, you can take in about this much of the world. Now take your hands and make them into like a scuba mask, like you're wearing a scuba mask. And that, put your hands out about 36 inches apart at full arm's length. That's how much a person in early dementia can take in. They can take in a little bit less than somebody who is just older but doesn't have dementia. Now take your hands around your eyes and close them down into binoculars. And that is what somebody classically who has a recent diagnosis of dementia, and if you take your hand and do this, it's about center field. You can only take in what's right in front of you, and you totally miss things that are elsewhere. So that if you come up to the side of me and do something, I'm startled and I'm surprised you did it. If you come straight from the front, you block me in and I feel trapped and I just either want to fight with you or get away from you. But if, however, you walk past me and you turn around and you get about 6 feet out and you go, Teepa, hey, and then offer your hand to me, my brain has time to notice you're coming by, you're walking, oh, you're walking away. But then you turn and my brain has time to go, oh, so, oh, you're coming back. And you pause and you show me your hand and your face and you go, well, hey. Then when you offer your hand, my brain says, oh, well, they want to say hello. And I offer my hand back. Well, now we're in visual connection. And now if I come alongside you and say, oh, how about something to drink? And I'm in this zone where you can pay attention to me and my hand is pointing the direction I want us to go. Suddenly, what could have been a confrontation or irritation is a connection. Now, that was middle of the disease. The next thing that frequently happens, and this might be sort of important to know if you were going to be around me a lot, is I can look at these things and, I know this. What do I do with this? Oh, because it has tines, it has prongs on it. So I made the mistake, even though I found it on the table, I comb my hair with it, or I might take a hairbrush and try to brush my teeth. But if you know, the problem is, even though I can see the object, I don't always know what the object is for anymore. And that means my brain failure has gotten a little worse. But then imagine I can't get both eyes to adjust anymore. And I start only using the vision from one eye because when I try to plug them together, it's just weird and blurry and I can't figure it out. So I become monocular. And when I'm monocular, I can have you try things. You can't actually tell depth and distance. So what you're going to start noticing is I start using my hand as my eye to figure things out. So now in that very brief session, your brain has some new data. And when you go into a new situation, you can look at what I'm looking at and what I seem to be doing with what I'm looking at. And your brain can go, oh, so if I want her to eat with the fork, it might work better if I show her eating with the fork before I hand her the fork. And I will want to hand it to her where she can probably see it rather than just have it down on the table and assume the reason she's picking it up and putting it down and not eating is because she's not hungry. But understanding she's trying to figure out what do you do with this? And she doesn't do the next step. So for me, that idea of I can offer your brain things, but then your brain has to take them in. And then the next thing it's going to have to do is try them out. And one of the things I do a lot in training is say, go ahead and do this with me. The reason I do that is I want your brain to try it out. I literally want you to look around and see what you can see, but then I want you to realize, now look down, put your hands around your eyes, and look down at your shirt and tell me whether you've got something on the top of your shirt. And that's when people realize, oh. I can't observe myself here anymore. So, oh, and then people's brains go, oh, so that's why, and they spill stuff, they don't seem to see it. And it's, yeah, but imagine somebody else's hand touching your shirt right there. It's like, oh. So I get people to get aware, and then we build a little knowledge. But in a new situation, somebody is going to have to go, oh, that's that eye thing. Okay, what did Teepa, what were we talking about? And realize it's a lot of trying to remember and bring it up in a moment, and to load on everything at the front end and hope you'll then go through the file cabinets and find what you're looking for as care unfolds. That to me doesn't make sense, because I'm asking you to walk into a different place with a different person and try to look in your file cabinets, when really what I, as an owner and somebody who's going to supervise you, I want you being present in the moment. I would like you to get there on time, by the way, but also being present in the moment, because it's by observing what's going on that you're going to be able to figure out what you should do.
Mm.
But the only way you can get good at it is to practice.
Mm. Mm.
And then the next time I come back, if the person is different, it is so important that I notice, wow, today she seems to really be able to do more. Well, if she's able to do more today, where do I want to support her? Where she was the other day or where she is today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here are a couple, just even, I think you cover a lot of these topics in your classes, and we started to talk about some of this too, but I think even to your point of this very active learning that builds empathy, that builds perspective, I'd love to maybe even talk through a couple scenarios and get your thoughts on these too. These are shared by experiences of folks on staff, experiences of day-to-day of home care agencies and administrators who are in our audience today. So let's even just go through the first one. We talked a little bit even previously about not only how you're supporting clients and patients, but how you're supporting family members too. So when you're providing respite care for a family member who's a primary caregiver, what are maybe some of the things to remember in terms of caring for the caregiver, I guess, in a way, and the caregiver's ability, professional caregiver's ability to help care for the family members, some things to keep in mind too.
Yeah. Okay, Helen, so let's say you're the daughter, okay, and you've been trying really hard to help your mom and live with your mom and take care of your mom, but it has gotten really hard. And she's not sleeping well, so you're not sleeping well. She's wanting to eat crap all the time, like sugar and snacks, and you're really struggling to get her to eat decently. And you got an opportunity to go somewhere for a few days with a friend of yours, and you're really feeling the need to get away a little bit because you actually feel trapped in this caregiving. And you realize that you're getting to a place where you're spending more time going, Mom, stop, what are you doing? In other words, you're frustrated with her. I mean, because she's not acting like your mom, and it's hard work. And both of you are tired, and you're tired of each other a little bit. So that's the setup. How would you feel if I walked in and said, oh, Miss Helen, don't worry, I've got it. I think you just don't know dementia very well, because I've done this a long time. I'm really good at this. And you go on, you have a great time. It's all fine. You don't need to tell me anything. I know what to do. Trust me, I am real good working with people with dementia. So you go on, have a good time. She and I will have a great time together. What are you thinking right now?
I feel very inadequate, guilty. I already came up with my thoughts and feelings because I obviously have, personally some experience with this too. So absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So when I come in, one of the best things I can say is, Miss Helen, I have a real important thing. I need a little help from you if I'm going to do a good job while you take a break. And believe me, I truly hope you will get a break, because you've been doing this quite some time, huh? Yeah, this is hard work. Caring for somebody you love and you've known a long time is really hard. But here's the good part. Because you've known a long time, tell me 3 things about her that you think is really important. When she wakes up in the middle of the night, what kind of things are going on, so I have a handle on the kind of things that she tends to say or do. So I'll have an awareness of that if you're not here. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, let's go with it. Yeah. So, yeah, right, exactly. But I
Her
get
brain
it.
is
Yeah.
feeling valued.
That's exactly it.
Acknowledging the hard work. I'm also acknowledging, you've been doing this a while. In other words, I'm offering to support you because that is the missing piece for many family members is they get so far in this. And if you would put your hand up, here's what we know. In reality, out of every 5 families who start this thing, only 1 stays intact. 4 out of 5 families fall apart before this is over. And what that means for people who are providing support and care for people living with dementia, the family member who's still there is often socially isolated, maybe even not thought of by other family members. They may very frequently feel overwhelmed and not know where else to turn. So in fact, without a relationship that's supportive from us, what you may see is a lot of conflict because they're scared, they're lonely, they're frustrated, and they're paying a significant amount of money and they want things to be right. But in that moment, they're also feeling disregarded because if you tell me that you can do something I'm struggling with, that means there's something wrong with you. And it's like, well, I don't know whether I'm going to be good at this or not. I mean, I do understand dementia, but that does not mean your mom is going to be okay with me in the middle of the night.
Right.
So it's going to be real important for me to gather data before I make assumptions. And by offering that, tell me more about, I know you were hoping that she would get some bathing with me.
Yeah.
How much of a person that she likes other people and likes strangers is she versus she's somebody who's pretty private, and private is private and being out in public is different? Tell me about your mom. Which one do you think she more is?
Wow. Yeah.
Because
So
what am I setting you up to realize when you want me to help her take a shower?
Yeah.
This may take a bit. I mean, just because I understand dementia doesn't mean your mother will be willing and able to get naked in front of me on the first visit. I mean, if she were, I'm like, well, good luck. I really find that on first date. First date is not the date to go for the gusto. What we may need to talk about is, I'm thinking it may take us a few visits, Helen, before we get anywhere near the bathroom. And I'm really wanting us to figure this out ahead of time so you're not disappointed. And as an agency owner, wow, if I had an employee who could do this with a customer, I'm not getting a call on Monday morning saying, I don't understand why mother hasn't had a shower. It's like they're calling and saying, thank you for sending her. It is such a relief to have somebody who gets and spends time with my mom, and my mom is okay. She's not trying to throw her out the front door. And now we can both breathe a little bit, and I can say, so tell me a little bit more. Does she feel comfortable? Do you know when she was young, did she take showers or did she do wash-ups or baths? Do you know back when she was really young, what were some of the ways she got clean back then?
Yeah. And doing more of that information gathering. And it sounds like even, and this is, I think, back to even practice, right? So even some of the walkthrough, right? And so doing that work together, it almost feels like exploratory too. And I have clients who are more comfortable with doing that. It's great. That's fantastic. Yeah.
So, not all families are interested in being that involved. And it's really important to know when I have a customer that says, I don't take care of my mom, I take care of the finances. Now comes the hard part. Okay, so you're the person who's doing mostly the bills, but you're not actively like here on a regular basis. Are you hoping that that's a role we will take on, or is there someone else who does that kind of thing? Just so, because I want to know who I should work with if there is somebody or not.
And then
there's no judgment. I'm not trying to judge whether you're a good family member or not a good family member, because there's all kinds of people in the world. And what's really important is that I'm being respectful of you, but I'm also being supportive in the situation. And that's what the kind of training that I try to help people look into, is being able to think, but not being able to answer everything right in that moment necessarily.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's sort of building empathy. It's learning directly from clients. It's a lot of information gathering and just situational awareness too. I would definitely want to make sure people get the questions. I'm going to ask maybe one more question from this list.
Sure.
And this is one that we get often. So as an agency owner or operator, have you had trouble getting, so thinking about folks who are in this position where they struggle with getting employees engaged to learn and embrace Exactly. Better care techniques. Give us your take on that. We'd love people to know.
I'm just checking to see if I'm on the schedule.
We got a lot of people who are actually dealing with that right now.
Yeah. So how many of you, when I did this and I did this, found yourself, even if you weren't wanting to do it, I sort of got you to tricked into trying it? One of the things I try to do with most of the training I do is to find a way to not make it be, let me show you these slides and let's click through them. And here's information about dementia. What I try to do is, okay, so take your hand. I want you to do this shape. So do this shape with your hand. Make it like this and do this. So, and now make a handle that comes down. What's that shape? What shape is that?
Umbrella.
An umbrella. So when we talk about dementia these days, we talk about an umbrella term. It covers lots of things. It covers Alzheimer's and Lewy body and frontal temporal dementias. It covers alcohol-related dementia and vascular dementia. So there's a lot of things that fall under this umbrella. But one of the things that isn't under the umbrella is depression or anxiety. They can act and look like dementia, but in fact, they're treatable and they should be treated a little differently. But people who are under the umbrella are more at risk for developing depression and anxiety or anxiety. So as a care provider, what does that mean? Well, it means the person I'm caring for might have dementia, but then if I start seeing symptoms that look more like depression, I may want to go, hey, hang on, I think something new is happening here. Because if I'm with somebody a lot and I'm the one who's with the person the most, and I don't raise my hand and say, I'm seeing something that's different than the dementia versus just the progression of dementia. If I don't do that, I'm not a very good advocate. So as an agency and owner, I think looking for the classes, the sessions that speak to your learners, and watching them yourself, really having gone through some of the training yourself so that you know you didn't find yourself. Because I've had owners
going, what? Yeah.
Just saying, because we all have things that are happening in our life, and life happens. I get it. But if you're not present with me in training, then whatever I was training on is probably not going to go with you when you go on the job. So picking smaller bites and seeing if it applies to what somebody's doing can be really effective. So if I know someone is working with someone who's getting close to the end of life, then watching that, getting near the end and learning the art of letting go, I might look at it first and then select some sections that I particularly think, this is what I want us to really make sure we've got our message straight, because I think the husband that we're working with is really struggling with not trying to get her to take another bite, take another drink, even though she's getting aspiration pneumonia. I really think we need to help him a little bit in a different way. So let's all watch this video and then let's talk about what we think we should try with him. Now, I set a very different expectation. I said, we're all gonna watch this, and then we need to get together to figure out how we're gonna use what we learned in this situation. And it takes it from a passive learning experience to, I need to take in some stuff because we're gonna get together because we're gonna make a difference in this man and this woman's life. because I do love her. I mean, I've been her care provider for a while, and I really care about him, and I'm watching him wear himself out, and not know how to let go of her because he doesn't know how he's going to live after she's gone. And these are very real things that happen in dementia, for sure, because dementia is a terminal illness, and we talk about living with it, but people are also going to die with it. And so helping those around be ready for that and to be able to grieve that loss, but celebrate that life and realize one more bite is not the answer, but helping him to find ways to be with her and when to be with her. But that kind of learning can only take place if we're working with each other, not you telling me I should go watch the webinar on this and not even checking back. So to me, that's what this platform provides as a owner or an agency operator and as a care provider. It's a chance for us to go get some things and then come back together and figure them out for what it is we need to do.
Absolutely. It's making sure, I love a lot of the points that you mentioned, specifically that, folks need to feel that there is context, it's situational, it respects the fact that, everyone is busy, but this is why it matters. And so, like all things, we need to know that they matter, and that's why we're doing them. I really appreciate that. So with that said, I want to make sure that we have some time to go ahead and get questions. So Amanda, is it possible for us to go ahead and go to questions? Somebody saying literally the first question is yay, yay, yay.
We gotta get some things going on here. I mean, this is people are bored.
Yes. Do you want to read out the first question, Amanda?
Yeah, so Teepa, we have a question for you. So you gave a lot of great examples, but so the question is, how can we achieve the awareness you're speaking about using the content that CareAcademy will be providing?
So tell me, I'm having a little trouble hearing you off to the side. So say it, just have Helen say it maybe.
Just to repeat that, so Teepa, the question was, how can we achieve the awareness? And I'll read into this. So Cheryl, please correct us if you're listening and we're not quite articulating this correctly. So how can we achieve the awareness, within maybe caregivers you're speaking about using the content that CareAcademy will be providing? So of the slated body of classes, how can we how can, I think, agency owners, I think to an extent of the question that we were just asking earlier. How can you best use this, I guess, all this content?
Can you go back to the slide before this one where you had some of the content that you guys are going to make available?
Yes, absolutely.
I think it was back one, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think. There we go. So for instance, if you were to look at the video or you were to want to explore the video of challenging behaviors, you may not want to assign the watching of the whole thing, but you may look at some of the chapters and go, I know that Helen particularly is working with somebody who we're really having trouble with. She wants to go home. She wants to go home. And yet the place she is where she's living. So what we'll want to do maybe is look at the section that talks about people who want to go home. What can you do? So that we would look at it, and then I would say, so Helen, if you'll watch it and I'll watch it, then I think what we can do is we can get together and talk about your person that you're struggling with a little bit, and let's see what we can come up with. Because from what I've experienced, what she says is, listen, I've got to get home. I can't stay here. My daughter is looking for me. She just got home from school. So if that's what somebody says, you'd want to say, oh my gosh, so your daughter's home at the house alone. Well, that's not okay. So now are you expecting somebody else? No, you need to, so that's why you're so upset, because your daughter's there alone. Now, so does she come home every day from school? Yeah, every day. And usually you're there, but you're not there today. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's not okay, is it? So you're worried about her. Yeah. So the only way this will work is if both of us watch the content And now we can start exploring the real situation we're in and relate it to the content. So I've got to make it interesting enough for you as my employee to get you to want to check this out. Because Helen, I think this will help you with Mary. I mean, 'cause I was looking at it, I listened to what you said about trying to help her. And my understanding is Mary's really struggling with X, Y, or Z. And so what does it mean that I have to do as an owner? I'm so sorry, you probably will have to watch these videos too. I mean, for good or for bad. And as you're looking at them, they are divided into chapters. And the plus is the chapters often have headings that sort of tell you what's in there. So you might be able to go through some of this and then recognize, I think most of our families were having problems with X. This is a good place for us to get together and start. So I'm going to see if I can't get several people, most of my employees, to watch this. Then we're going to all get together in a little webinar for 15 minutes, just 15. Because believe it or not, we've only been on it for 42 minutes and we've covered lots of territory here. So I think looking at smaller bites after you watch something to see what somebody took in and see if they can make use of it right away. Because if you take something in and you don't use it, it's gone. Whereas if you take it in and then we're going to do something with it, and the first thing is to talk about it and then try it out. When you talk about it, it builds knowledge. And then when you try it out, it builds skill. So we have to be committed with each other. And I think one of the things that I believe many owners and agency leaders are starting to realize is one of the most precious commodities you have are your workers. Because frankly, to bring another person on and to bring them up to speed is costly, both in time, but also in resources. And if I can take somebody who is struggling and figure out what's causing the struggle, and if they're a valuable person to me, then I invest a little bit of me and them together in the situation so we can figure out how to get this to a new place. But that also means I say, Helen, thank you. Thank you for watching that video because you really picked up some things there. So when you're with Mary this week, would you do me a big favor? When you try some things out, I would really love to hear on Friday how it went. Will you either text me at the end of your shift on Friday, or will you respond if I text you? Because I want to check this out. Because if I don't value the difference, why should you? And so this is a relationship that we're starting to work on. I want it to happen between a care provider and the person living with dementia, between the person who's providing care and the family member if they're actively engaged. But I also want the leaders of companies to recognize those people you're sending out there. They are amazing people. And for all our flaws, because we all have them, certainly I have a couple. I mean, not, but for all our flaws, if we come with it with good intent, then that good intent should be at least something of value. And then we find out how far can I go? I mean, quite honestly, we may have some employees who can only work with certain situations because they have their own limitations, but the skills they have in those situations, they're dynamite. So what I want to start recognizing is where do people have skill or expertise, or where can they develop it? And if they reach a barrier, I don't want to keep throwing them up against the barrier. What I want to figure out is how well do they do over here? Because maybe what they're good at is morning routines. What they're not so good at is going out and being out in the community with somebody because their behavior triggers off of one another. But I won't know that if I don't engage with people to learn what they're good at and where they struggle.
Wow. So it's engaging, it's observing. This is taking me back to my teacher days quite personally. So that's fantastic. And also activating and recognizing that, your care workers are going through the classes and even if it's verbal, it can be anything else is great. But just even a verbal recognition of that, it sounds like a really great way to reinforce learning.
Work. You've just finished this course. Thank you. I mean, and that's one of the things I like about that. I mean, I like about your platform is it gives me as an administrator that opportunity to chime in and say, wow, I saw you got 3/4 of the way through. oh, I so want you to finish that last chapter, because it's amazing what that can do for folks, because it says somebody does care, somebody is watching, somebody is noticing, but not in a mean way. So rather than you only got through 3/4 of the session, it's, wow, you got to 3/4. I so hope you can get that last quarter done, because it is, it is so important to get that one checked off. Do you think you could get to it?
Yeah, that's great. Let's see if we can get to another question, actually. Someone said that, wow, that time went by very quickly. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Thank you, Patricia. Absolutely. Do we have another one? Yes. So Michael O'Brien asks, he's asking me. Oh, great, yes. Thank you, Michael. Our state requires training on specific Alzheimer's dementia topics for all new employees. How can this partnership help us focus on meeting our training requirements for 150 caregivers? We're held accountable in state surveys for this training compliance. I'll go over this briefly, but I'd love to actually, we at CareAcademy have certain phrases that we use all the time. We like to show and not tell. Very similar to you. Teepa agrees. So just even very briefly, Michael, absolutely and yes, this partnership helps. You will not only meet those requirements, but you'll also be able to track those, and we'll show that and demonstrate that within our technology. Is this a good time to go ahead and start demonstrating this? Okay, so I will let, if anything, Kelly set up to show you that, Michael. That's a great question. But first and foremost, want to say an absolute heartfelt thank you. This is actually, I'm going to, Teepa probably gets annoyed whenever folks fangirl, but I'm going to go ahead and fangirl because it's my company, so I can. But I want to go ahead and say, for us, this has always been a milestone since we started this company. So this has been an absolute pleasure, and it's a milestone for me personally and professionally to get this opportunity to speak with you. And then also the fact that we're working with you is just an immense honor, and I'm really excited to offer this out to the audience and everyone out there. So thank you so much, Teepa.
Oh, well, in honor of the moment, I feel like we'll have to do like this.
Oh, look at this. Yes, this is great.
All right, I'll send you the selfie, because that's what we do in the fangirl world, apparently.
Yes, yes.
It's shocking to me that young people, not you, but did I say that? I said that out loud. That was not okay. But I get lots of young people who want to take a picture with me. It's like, okay, I don't quite understand you would take a picture with an old lady, but go for it.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Thank you so much, Teepa. And with that, we will transition over to Kelly to take it away. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Teepa.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. I just want to do a quick check that everyone can see my screen.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Teepa and Helen. Welcome to this live tour of CareAcademy. I'm Kelly. I am a CareAcademy training consultant. So today we'll be going over an introduction to CareAcademy. We're going to show you what CareAcademy would look like for a caregiver. Then we'll show you what CareAcademy would look like as an agency admin. And then at the end, there'll be time to answer any additional questions, as well as a special offer. CareAcademy is the leading source for online state-approved caregiver training that works on smartphones. Home care agencies choose CareAcademy because we automatically provide the right training at the right time to help you meet your state training requirements. We're the leading choice for private duty, non-medical home care agencies because your caregivers are automatically reminded to complete their training, and the video-based classes actually work on a smartphone. A typical agency saves nearly $800 a month on onboarding just by using CareAcademy. Home care agencies choose CareAcademy because we save you up to 60% on caregiver onboarding time with our state-approved classes, online dashboard, responsive customer support team, and our portable records for caregivers. In the tour, we'll go over each of these features and how they can benefit
Hey, Kelly, this is Jen from CareAcademy in the office, and it sounds like we lost a little bit of audio over here, so I'm hoping you can check your connection. Well, I'm so sorry, everybody. We're having a little internet trouble on Kelly's end, it looks like. So while she gets her internet back, I'm going to go ahead and take over and just jump in here. And hey again, Teepa. Go ahead and get my dashboard up for you so that way you can see my screen. Okay, so thanks so much for the patience there. I apologize about the tech issue there, and appreciate your patience. So now what I want to do is take a look at the at-a-glance admin dashboard. From the dashboard, all of your employees are automatically reminded via text message to email to complete their training at the right times based on your state requirements. You're able to view all of your caregivers and real-time progress on their initial and annual training requirements. For example, my caregiver here is 100% complete with her initial training and 33% complete with her annual training. From the admin dashboard, you can also do a lot of other things: bulk message caregivers, bulk assign classes, deactivate caregivers. All of those tools are extremely easy to use, and you can see how to do it very intuitively. If you click on an individual caregiver, you can drill down for more specific information, including the classes they've completed or what they're in progress with, test scores, and compliance reports. So here's an example of that when I show you Caregiver. I can see in progress, completed, certificates, and a lot more details about their training. You can also download agency-wide training logs and class completion certificates for any audit that you might have, regardless of what state you're in. So those are easy to access in the upper right here. Compliance reports. As you can see, they show all the relevant information for your state compliance, and they're easily customizable depending on your state, and you can export them to Excel if needed. And of course, the certificates of completion are available as well, so that way you can easily reward your caregivers for having completed the classes that they need to for your state compliance, or those that you're providing to upskill them into a higher position within your company. The caregiver groups tab here allows you to create a subset of caregivers within your agency, depending on the experience or their experience or specialty. This way, you can assign different caregivers to different classes and that fit their needs. For example, you might create a group for non-medical caregivers or dementia care specialists or companion caregivers. The curriculum tab shows the classes that meet your state's initial and the curriculum tab shows you the different tracks of training that your caregiver groups are enrolled in. If I click on my caregiver track here, you're able to see your state's specific initial and annual training curriculum and the requirements for that state. When you add caregivers, they're automatically assigned your state-specific curriculum. But then you always have the ability to customize that further by adding your own classes or creating those different tracks based on the specialized training that your caregivers need to take. So you'll never have to worry about creating a curriculum that's out of compliance because in this example I'm showing you here, you can see that when I remove a class which is required for compliance, the system actually throws a warning for you. So you don't have to worry about being out of compliance. We're managing that in your system and giving you all the information you need to design great curricula that meets your company's needs and your state requirements. The deactivated caregiver tab shows you a list of caregivers who have been deactivated. So that way, deactivated caregivers won't be able to log in, they won't receive messages, but all of their training is still intact, of course, because as we know, it's come up and you need to be able to prove that the caregivers you employ were trained. And any communication that you sent out is available in your message log. So here you're able to easily see whether or not a caregiver actually received the messages that you sent. A warning will also be thrown over here. You'll see a big red exclamation point if this message was not received by the caregiver. So that way you can't have a situation again where a caregiver says, I didn't know, I didn't hear that I was supposed to complete that class. You have a record of that, and all of the automated communication that we are sending, as I mentioned, they're automatically getting reminded about the classes they're supposed to take. And so all of those communications are available here. You can easily click on a message to see what the content was. So with that, that was a very high-level overview of what the manager side of our platform looks like. There are many other bells and whistles and features that platform offers and other value that it offers to your agency. For the purpose of being brief today, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the caregiver view of the platform to round out our time together. So what I'm doing is I'm opening a simulator that shows exactly what the classes look like on a smartphone. So, and the reason I do this is because the majority of caregivers do not actually have a desktop or a laptop computer, but they do have a smartphone. And we track that with Google Analytics, so we know that most of our users are completing their classes via a smartphone. Apologies, I have to type my username correctly. So the first thing that you'll notice here is that the caregiver has access to multiple agencies. At the very beginning of the presentation, Helen mentioned that we offer a portable record standard for caregivers. Now what that means for you as the agency manager or owner is that you never have to retrain a caregiver on a topic that they just completed at a different agency using CareAcademy down the street. So when a caregiver completes a class, that their certificate stays with them in their account. That's really, really important because it actually rewards the caregiver for their work and having completed that class. And then, like I mentioned, they can easily send that certificate over to you. So that way you don't have to worry about, whether or not they actually went through one of Teepa's great classes on challenging behaviors. You have a record of it, and they just did it like 2 weeks ago at somebody else's agency. So you're all getting the benefit of caregivers being able to keep their training certificates. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as a learner from this agency. And what you can see here from a caregiver perspective is that it's super simple to use. We've designed it just like Facebook. Basically, they scroll, and then they can see all the different classes they're supposed to be taking that you have assigned to them. They only have access to the classes which you give them. The first thing you'll notice at the top is we live chat. So there's a lot of different ways for caregivers to be able to access support. It's available 7 days a week for them. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to a class here and resume. So this is an example of one of our classes, but to get demo access to some of Teepa's classes on our mobile-first platform, I just encourage you to reach out to one of our team members, and we can actually get you a demo access to a class so that way you can see what it would be like to use Teepa's content for your agency if you choose to. The way most of our classes are structured is that they are primarily video-based, and this is also true of Teepa's classes as well, that they're primarily video-based. And the reason that we've done that there's a couple main reasons for why we've done that. One, videos work awesome on smartphones, so it's really, really easy for a caregiver to be able to consume this content. And then, as Teepa suggested, go apply it, have a discussion about it with the team. So in terms of how our classes work and how we've set up Teepa's classes on our platform, mostly video-based, and then there are also components of the classes which are either short reading assignments, activities, and then there is always a final exam at the end. And as Teepa mentioned, her classes and our classes also have chapters, so that way you can see what's coming up. I will note, though, that for compliance reasons, and anybody who's in a state with licensure probably understands this, the classes are gated, and that means that the learner needs to watch the video in its entirety before they're able to move on to the next section. The videos, for the most part, are there's some portions which are lecture, and then there's a lot of our classes which are also scenario-based. And that means that we show a real-life story of what's happening between a caregiver and a client, so that way the caregiver can really connect with that, and we show them the right way and the wrong way. So that is a super brief tour of what our classes look like and what our dashboard looks like. And I guess I will switch over real quick to our special offer. For those of you who have stuck around, need 1 second to pull it up. All right, so here's our special offer for everybody. If you're signing up with CareAcademy for a 12-month plus subscription, and you sign before February 29th, you're going to get 1 month free and free onboarding, which is a $499 value. So there's a couple different ways to get in contact with us. And if anybody is a current subscriber and would like to look at adding the Teepa's Positive Approach to Care classes to their subscription, please get in touch with us as well. If you're brand new to CareAcademy, get in touch with us, and we will do a little bit more of an in-depth consultation with you to learn about your needs and understand how we can best fit what you're looking to do with the training program. And with that, I'd love to just throw a quick poll there to see who we should reach out to first. I'll go ahead and put this poll up now. So if you'd like somebody from CareAcademy to follow up with you or your manager via phone, just click yes. and we'll be happy to evaluate what we offer with you, make sure it's a good fit, and tell you more about the Teepa classes and what you get with that package, and answer any questions that you might have. So I'll just go ahead and leave that poll open for a minute. Just click yes there, and we will be in touch with you shortly to help you take a little bit closer look at this. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for sticking around. Again, appreciate everybody's patience, and looking forward to speaking with all of you after this webinar to learn more about your training programs and see how we can help support you with our classes in partnership with Teepa Snow and CareAcademy's automated state compliance training. Thanks, everybody, and hope you have a wonderful afternoon.